Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Aha Moments with Don Onyi. This morning, we are going to be looking at the topic culture lag and Christianity. One would wonder, what exactly is culture lag? Culture lag simply refers to that gap between the pace of technology and material changes and corresponding changes in norms, values, and institutions of the society. For example, technological advancements have outpaced the development of ethics, laws, and even social norms that are used for them. Talking about assisted reproductive technologies, some people do not use these technologies because they believe they are wrong, just because they are not natural or they are not the natural process. And some Christian denominations have come up with explanations why these processes or these technologies are not good. Yes, we understand that things like life is sacred in Christianity and of course in many other religions. And in some of these assisted reproductive technologies, lives are wasted where embryos that have already been fertilized are disposed of because they are not needed, maybe in the case of IVF or some other cases. So this is example of culture lag. Another good example is the use of phone. I remember when phone was newly introduced, mobile phones were newly introduced to Nigeria. I know some persons that said that it was a mark of the beast, some Christian pastors, and swore never to use it. That's culture lag. Today people talk about the most intimate part of human relationships, where humans, relate most intimately. Today, technology is substituting that kind of technology. People have sex toys, people use all manner of, sex bots and all of that. Talking about sex robots and all that. So all of these are kinds of culture lag, where technology outpaces the development of the ethics of the use of them. Over the years, Christianity has been known to engage cultures that it finds itself in. That's why we talk about enculturation, we talk about contextualization. Christianity doesn't write off everything about every culture. It simply gets into the culture while maintaining the precepts and principles of scriptures. It gets to understand how to collaborate with every culture. This seeming misunderstanding between tradition and modernity is not necessarily the case with Christianity. However, the problem lies in the way people see some of these technological advancements as soon as they are introduced. Some Christians outrightly dismiss anything modern. Modernity for them is anti-scripture. Some embrace it without trying to understand the ethics and the culture and the values that are in those modern in those practices. And then some Christians look at some of these technological advancements with a great deal of skepticism. I think the way to go about this is to have a good understanding of scriptural precepts and principles, and then work with these, so that as we engage with cultures, as we engage with new developments technologically and otherwise, instead of writing them off, we could look at them through the lens of scriptures to understand where and how we could work with it. For instance, there are ambivalent technological tools, like the phone we use. Phones can be used to even disseminate the gospel. We could have our Bible app in phones and all of that. So you see that it has an ambivalent feature, because the same phones are used to visit porn sites, are used to do all manner of negative things. So when Christians look at some of these technological tools that have ambivalent features, we could amplify the positive features and preach against the negative features instead of writing it off as absolutely wrong. So I think that the best way to go about culture lag is not necessarily to write off technological advancements, but to view technology from the lens of scriptures. The good thing is that the Bible has everything, whether directly or implied. There's nothing that cannot be seen in scriptures. So we can always look at things through the scriptures, the precepts and principles of scriptures. One of my mentors in the UK will always say that the Bible is his fact checker. So whenever you want to check any fact, just go to the Bible. You'll see precepts instead of writing off anything. Even though I don't have any issues with assisted reproductive technologies, I still understand that life is seen as sacred in Christianity. So any assisted reproductive technology that makes you waste life becomes wrong. Even though I don't have any issues with having phone, I know that as a Christian, I am not supposed to use my phone to do the wrong things. And so it applies across board. Another aspect in material changes in the society that of course leads to cultural lag is maybe urban development, where you see people engaging in deforestation, felling of trees, and filling waterways and what have you, just because they need land to build and all of that, without necessarily looking at the laws, the ethics and the norms of such things, and that's why we have cities all over the place where there's a lot of pollution because those trees that give oxygen are no longer there. Waterways are blocked, and then from time to time there's erosion, gully and all manner of things. We also have the issue of cesarean section, where some Christians actually think that no, it's not normal. It doesn't matter, from scriptures to find out that it doesn't matter the channel the baby comes through. The important thing is that the baby is born and the mother is alive. And all of these issues, artificial intelligence, these are issues that need to be interrogated through the lens of scriptures without necessarily writing them off, so that we can also take the positive aspects of this. I hope this makes sense to you. So until I see you again next week on Aha Moments with Don Onyi, I would like to know what you think about culture lag and Christianity. Bye for now.